Welcome. In the professional world, the words you use can literally open doors. Or, well, close them. So today, we're going to break down the essential language you absolutely need to land that job, thrive at work, and build a career you can be really proud of.
All right, let's kick things off with three words you hear constantly, right? Job, work, and career. I mean, they kind of feel interchangeable, don't they? But are they really? Well, getting the subtle but super important differences down is honestly the first step to sounding like a total pro.
Okay, so let's break this down. It's actually pretty simple. A job, that's a specific role, like being an accountant. The work is the stuff you actually do in that job. The tasks, the effort you put in. And then there's your career. That's the big picture. It's the entire journey, all your jobs and experiences rolled into one. So think of it this way. You do work at your job to build your career. See how they all connect?
So here's how we're going to tackle this. We're going to follow the natural path of a professional journey. First up, landing the job. Then we'll talk about how to thrive in your day-to-day work. After that, we'll look at building that long-term career. And to wrap it all up, we'll dive into how to navigate the, let's say, interesting challenges of the modern workplace.
All right, part one, landing the job. Look, before you can even show off how great your skills are, you've got to talk the talk, right? So this section is all about the key language you need to get your foot in the door.
Most hiring processes follow a pretty clear path. It all kicks off with your application. That's where your resume tells your story. Then it moves to screening, where recruiters are basically scanning for the right keywords. If you make it through, you get to the interview. This is your big moment, your chance to really show them what you're made of. And if all goes well, you get that offer. That's the goal, right? The ultimate professional win.
Okay, in pretty much any interview you'll ever have, you're going to hear phrases just like these. But here's the secret. They're not just questions. Seriously, when an interviewer says, "Tell me about yourself," what they're really asking is, "Sell me on why you're the perfect person for this job." And let me tell you, how you answer that, well, it's everything.
So, why does all this matter so much? Because using this language correctly, it does way more than just make you sound smart. It's sending a powerful signal to employers. It's telling them, hey, I'm a professional, I'm prepared, I'm confident, and I am ready to start adding value from the second I walk in the door.
Okay, so you nailed the interview. You got the job. Awesome. But guess what? The language game changes now. So let's jump into part two, thriving at work, and the vocab you'll need for success every single day.
One of the very first things you've got to figure out at any new job is the company culture. Honestly, just think of it as the office's vibe. It's unwritten rules. It controls everything, from how formal your emails need to be to whether it's cool to take a full hour for lunch. It really just boils down to the way things are done around here.
And you're definitely going to hear a ton of office slang or idioms, like this one. Touch base? Oh yeah, that's a classic. All it means is, hey, let's have a quick chat or check-in to see how things are going. Simple as that.
And don't fool yourself. Getting this unwritten code down is often just as important as the actual technical skills you were hired for. I'm serious. It is the absolute key to fitting in, working well with others, and really, truly becoming part of the team.
All right, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the long game, building your career. This part is all about the language you'll need for growth, for development, for moving up.
So if you want to grow your career, you have to get the difference between hard skills and soft skills. It's crucial. Hard skills, those are your teachable technical abilities. Stuff like coding or analyzing data. Soft skills, on the other hand, are all about how you interact with people, your communication, your leadership, your teamwork. And trust me, you need a strong mix of both to really get ahead.
Here's a really simple way to think about it. Your hard skills, they might get you the job, but it's your soft skills that are going to get you the promotion. Real, lasting career growth only happens when you've built a super solid foundation of both. And finally, let's look ahead, because let's be honest, the world of work is changing, and it's changing fast. And that means there's a whole new set of words, a whole new vocabulary that you've got to know.
Probably one of the biggest changes we're seeing is the rise of the gig economy. We're not talking about your traditional 9-to-5 permanent jobs here. No, this is a whole different world built on freelance projects, short-term contracts, and basically being your own boss.
Now look, this is not some small niche trend. More than a third of the entire US workforce is now part of the gig economy. Think about that for a second. That's millions and millions of people who are completely redefining what it even means to have a job.
So, what does this actually mean for us? It means the whole idea of a career is being turned on its head. It's just not a straight ladder you climb anymore. It's way more like a jungle gym. You can go up, sideways, down, across. It's flexible, it's not a straight line, and more, you're the one calling the shots and directing your own path.
And all of this leads to a pretty big and maybe a little provocative question for us to chew on. With everything that's changing, remote work, the gig economy, all of it, is the traditional 9-to-5 job obsolete? Is it on its way out for good?
So, after all that, what's the one thing you should really take away from this? It's simple. Whether you're sitting in a high-stakes interview or figuring out your next move in the gig economy, just remember this: language is your single most powerful tool. The better you are at using it, the more control you'll have over your career. So master it, and honestly, you'll be ready for absolutely anything.